Welcome to Turf Talk, back from vacation edition. Vance, you got to check out Delaware Park. I was in the Great Smoky Mountains, but now we're back in Lexington. Well rested, I trust.
Yes, we both got deserved vacations the last couple of weeks. You were up in the Smoky Mountains enjoying some really hot air, not the cool, refreshing air that you were hoping to get, I'm sure.
Yep, and you saw Delaware Park for the first time and rave reviews.
I love the place. It's one of those old-fashioned racetracks built around the Depression era. It's a racino now, but it still acts like a racetrack. It's got one of the most beautiful paddocks in the country. I thoroughly enjoyed the visit.
Yeah, the racino came long after the racetrack, and that as much as the racino is a part of it, and really probably on a daily basis more people are playing the casino games and playing the races. They've to me left a lot more than some other tracks have of the racetrack itself, including that great paddock. Definitely suggest anyone who could make it to the area check that out. You also had some good pizza in the home of Freehold Raceway, Federici. So sounded like a good trip.
I did have a very good trip. Got to see the city of Philadelphia a little bit, so it was really well received.
All right, and of course the DNC going on there now, and RNC was in my home of Cleveland after I was there for the Ohio Derby. So we saw it all.
We saw it all.
All right. Well, this weekend we saw two Horse of the Year candidates. To me, two I expect to be in the discussion. One who I think if he runs the table is Horse of the Year, that's California Chrome. The other, based on what they're talking about her campaign the rest of the year, to me has no path.
I agree. California Chrome ran a terrific race against Dortmund in the San Diego. It almost looked like he was going to take off, win by 2 or 3. Dortmund came back, made a race of it really late, but it was another superb comeback for both horses, actually, who were coming off long layoffs. And I agree with you, California Chrome, if he runs the table, he will have had a terrific older male campaign this year, worthy of his second Horse of the Year title. On the other hand, Songbird is going to stick with 3-year-old fillies for the moment, going to the Alabama next. Like you said, she basically needs to run against males like Beholder will later next month in the Pacific Classic. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and to me that means the odd mare out in this case is Tepin, who could run the table and have one of the greatest turf years of any U.S.-based horse and be out of the Horse of the Year discussion. Wise Dan took similar path, didn't go to England, but similar style races, beating all comers on the turf, and once Horse of the Year, but there was no campaign that either California Chrome or Beholder can still put together this year. Pacific Classic, Breeders' Cup Classic seems to be, if either one wins out, they're going to be it.
Yeah, and it's also kind of tied to the bias that American racing fans and American Eclipse Award voters have of rewarding dirt form over turf form traditionally. We've had some exceptions in recent years. Wise Dan took advantage of some moderate form on the dirt from the 3-year-olds and the older males to claim a couple Horse of the Year titles. But if Tepin runs the table, even if Cal Chrome and or Beholder do it, I still think she's in the discussion. I mean, she potentially could have 3 wins against older males at the end of the year.
Yeah.
She won the
4 maybe.
4, she won the Queen Anne at Royal Ascot, won the Woodbine Mile, is running in the Woodbine Mile in September. Another Breeders' Cup Mile title to her credit. Yeah, she could have, obviously the best turf female campaign we've seen since All Along won Horse of the Year over 30 years ago.
Yeah, well, to me, the trip to Ascot is one thing that I think will get her attention, and certainly a second place vote from me. I do favor the Breeders' Cup Classic. I feel in the U.S., we mount a quarter on the dirt is sort of the place to showcase your talent, and if he runs the table, that's just going to be a no-brainer for me. But certainly Tepin is the one I'll be watching if either Beholder or California Chrome falter, so to speak. And Nyquist is coming back in the Haskell. He would need to beat older males to get in the discussion, but he's in it for sure.
Yeah, it's very wide open as we approach the 1st of August from all sorts of divisions. I'm also not even I'm still even thinking about Flincher in the turf male category.
Yeah.
You know, his odds are the longest of anybody's in the future book, so to speak. But yeah, I'm leaving him in the discussion as well. He just looked brilliant in his comeback in the Manhattan. More good to come from him.
Yeah, and I don't know how far Catch a Glimpse is ultimately going to go against top company. We saw her beat 3-year-old fillies in a mile and a quarter. To me, though, if we see her beat males again in a grade 1, she enters the discussion for 3-year-old filly, because Songbird's sticking to fillies. Maybe she beats older females. Beholder probably would not be in that group because she's going to go to the Classic, and Songbird will be in the distaff. If Catch a Glimpse were to beat her stablemate Tepid in the mile, or beat older females in the filly and mare sprint and stretch out to whatever it is, a mile and a quarter, mile and 3/8 at Santa Anita, to me that's more impressive than Songbird. Beating older males as a 3-year-old filly puts her ahead in my mind.
Yeah, there's going to be a great discussion about that from people like with that thought. Just for me personally, I've just never seen the 3-year-old colt or 3-year-old filly titles really open for the grass horses. I haven't gone in that direction before. I really don't plan on doing it this year. Just to me, Songbird is just hands and above.
Yeah, I agree, and I've written against it. I remember when Winter Memories was doing her thing, she was getting some attention as potential 3-year-old filly. Kitten's Joy, he didn't win the Breeders' Cup, but there was some chatter of him. Last year with Lady Eli, got some attention. To me, you can't just beat other 3-year-old fillies on the turf and win that award. It's older males as a 3-year-old filly is what most impresses me. So that it would need to be that.
Yeah.
For me,
it's going to have to be something extraordinary.
Exactly.
And I can never see the day that a 3-year-old colt based primarily running on the turf is ever going to win that 3-year-old title award, just because the Triple Crown is just kind of so ingrained and so important to American racing in general, dirt racing, 3-year-olds. I just don't see a grass horse. We had one 30 years ago, Manila, who, in retrospect, historically, you could argue maybe it was better than Snow Chief, better than Ferdinand, the top dirt 3-year-olds that year. Nobody back then talked about him as the best 3-year-old colt of the year, and he may have been one of the best grass horses we ever produced. So if he can't win the 3-year-old colt and gelding title, that's given primarily to dirt runners. I don't see any horse in the future to be as qualified for that.
All right, well, plenty of year left. We'll see what happens. Horses can get beat too, and
Absolutely.
that would factor in. But we talk a lot at the beginning of the year about all the stars coming back and how good it might be. To me, they've lived up through it through the first first 7 months of the year. Hopefully we see a few of them face each other. That'll add to it. But, California Chrome and Dortmund delivered. And the next day we had Karina Mia and Songbird. So hopefully we get more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just been a spectacular year so far in a wide variety of divisions, and you can't ask for anything more in this game.
Nope. All right. Well, it's been fun. Glad to have both of us back in the office. We'll be back next week looking ahead to, we'll have some 3-year-olds we'll have returned from the Triple Crown Trail, and we'll look ahead to the Haskell and see how that division's shaking out. Join us then.